Peace, everyone. We have a who's playing? Peace, everyone. We have a who's playing? Peace, everyone. We have a peace, everyone. Welcome. We have a treat for you today. The topic is discrimination, a diversionary argument. Discrimination and diversionary argument. Discrimination on mass denationalization on the road to postliminium and reversion to sovereignty. All right, so we have a guest which will bring up a little shortly. We want you to tune in to our YouTube channel, Moroccan Post Law Government, Moroccan Post Law Government and History class. We have the last class. We have our Moroccan Post Law in his class. We had the topic secure party creditor class, which was this past Wednesday, November 9th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And secure party creditor class, government is secure party creditor that makes the decisions for her beneficiaries, citizens. So we have this class the second Wednesday, and so the next class. The next class is titled Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations, Writ of Quarwanto, Part 1. All right, that's Wednesday, November 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via Zoom. Once again, that's the Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations, Writ of Quarwanto, Part 1. This will probably be a 2 to 3 part series with the Writ of Quarwanto. All right, by what authority? So we have the YouTube, the Law Government History. We have the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. So you go to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page, like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely. And also Chrome TV, the Chrome TV YouTube page, and like, comment, and subscribe. The end game, restoring the Moorish body politic. This is December 14th, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This will be a live broadcast in Brooklyn. The location, Dreams Event Hall, 966 Rutland Road, Brooklyn, New York, 11212. For vendors, contact Goddess Kia, 718-812-5312. Donations, $25 at the door and $20 via webcast. Get tickets at eventbrite.com/the-n-game-tickets. All right, so the Shir Malachi Bey and yours truly, Abdullah Il Timosi Bey, will be in the house. So looking forward to seeing you there in Brooklyn or via webcast. My books, Boards and Masonry, Part 1, the Illuminati and illumination of the mind, the Masonic compass square and their connection to measurement and timekeeping, how our Venus and Moon rule, etymology and vocabulary, something you want. These are available on mooresandmasonry.org, and they're coming your way soon. Moors and Masonry Part 2, the Street and the recovery of lost Moorish sovereignty. So go to mooresandmasonry.org and get your illumination. All right, so once again, I said the title, Discrimination as a Diversionary Argument. Discrimination or mass nationalization on the road to Postliminium, reversion to sovereignty. We got we have a guest that will be presenting this along with me, Brother Sheehan Chandler Bay. Brother Sheehan Chandler Bay. He's actually one of the. Has been actually one of the students in the Moroccan Post Law, Government, and History class, and he's been with us for about 3 or 4 months. And the brother has been studying diligently and well spoken. He actually presented in the one about, was that about a month ago? And
it's about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Yes, it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, because yes, Quasi presented last week. So yes, he presented 2 weeks ago in the law, history, and Moroccan Post Law, History, Government class. He did a wonderful job. So we're going to bring in Sheehan. All right, Brother Sheehan Chandler Bay.
Peace.
All right, so peace, brother, peace. So this topic, discrimination, is a diversionary argument. You presented at your job. You were talk about how this title came about.
It came about because I didn't want the regular run of the mill using colored language and the same video, the same type of video that every place in that particular jurisdiction shows, just so they cannot be held negligent for not dispensing certain information pertaining to said discrimination. And so I didn't want to sit through another video. I didn't want everyone else having the awareness to know what was going on. I didn't want to continue for us, the model being we care more. I didn't want it to continue using colored language and under the guise of racism. You hear people speak of racism and discrimination when the bottom line is outside of nationality, which is tied to consanguinity, culture, heritage, birthright, then anything talking about anything outside of that, I know is a diversionary tactic. And so that being said, I wanted to give credence to some of the many things that I've learned in relationship to my own history and how it affects and how that affects the international dynamic and how it's not that. And also I wanted people to take it more personal and be accountable for what it is that they're saying, because the fact of the matter is that there are so many videos that these different corporations they have to show that for liability purposes. However, it's just more of another video, everybody sit through it, get through it, and then everybody continue to go on about their business. And so I wanted people to take it personal and take it seriously from a standpoint of, denationalization. This is not stepping on somebody's sneakers. This is an international human rights violation. And these are international human rights violations. And the fact that we don't have anything that's reflective of our culture, our customs, and what it is that our place in the international arena, that just goes to show what's been the denationalization on a mass scale that's been taking place. And I didn't want to continue to sit there and perpetuate that. So I wanted to give people solid evidence of the fact that it's not discrimination, it's denationalization, which is a war crime, by the way.
Crime against humanity. Absolutely. Crime against humanity. All right. So this is this man, you know, he inspires me, you know, reminds me of a younger me. I'm younger me. Because it's been, you know, I was 25 years old when I met Tasha B. Bay. So it's been, this is most of my adult life. So definitely inspired by Sheen's and will and love for the he has for our people. So I'm I'm excited to do this presentation with him, and this will be his book. This will be his book, and so this will be, you'll get a preview, and this book will be out sometime next year, and he's gonna move to national stage with this, and I'm very proud that he's part of our class. All right, my man T over here, his book's coming soon. His book's coming soon, y'all. Now, well, he's just T's working on something
A little later than Sheen's, but
yes. Everybody lets Sheen's closer. Sheen's closer.
All right.
But yeah, so we're gonna get right to it, Sheen. All right, we're gonna get the ground. We'll hit the ground running.
Hit the ground running.
Absolutely. All right, so we have here discrimination, and as in a diversionary argument, discrimination or mass denationalization on the road to postliminium and version sovereignty. All right, so the first question: on what basis are our people making the claim that they are Black? On what basis are our people making the claim they are Black? Sheen, you want to read the multiple choice list?
Okay. A, complexion / skin tone / pigmentation. B, national origin. C, ancestry. D, descent. Or E, nationality.
All right. So the answer is A. The answer is A. And get into this complexion, skin tone, pigmentation. Our people make the claim that they are Black because of their complexion. And in fact, if you were to ask our people why do they think they're Black, they're not going to answer the question. They're going to look at you puzzled, bewildered, baffled, as if the answer is obvious. You know what I mean? As if the answer is obvious. All right, so that's what you're going to get. All right, so we know that. So now we're going to further analyze this with the next question. Discussion points. So we have discussion points. Discussion point question number 1. Why do our people claim Black as their identity based on their complexions, tone, and pigmentation? Sheen. Sheen, you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Why do our people claim Black as their identity? Why do our people claim Black as their identity based on their complexion, skin tone, and pigmentation?
Well, that's what we've been taught, and we can look to the General Board of Education 1902. So it's setting the foundation. The foundation was set before then, but just to point to something tangible that we can let our fingers do the walking. You can look up the philosophy, 1902, the General Board of Education and their philosophy. We want a nation of workers. We don't want a nation of thinkers, just to summarize it. Now, there's more to it than that. So I would say that indoctrination and it's documented that our people were taken from, whether they be stripped away from their parents by the different European nations, France, Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, England/Great Britain. So it's documented history that we were taken by the friars or the priest, and then we were indoctrinated into believing that we are or we'll stick with the topic, but Negro, that we were taught that. And so generations and generations later, here we are. And it's used constructively. So from that perspective, that is there are many, I'd say there are many reasons. I can't point to necessarily one. There's not just
indoctrination is the reason. If you're going into you're just explaining some detail, but indoctrination is the reason, because in order to strip a people into, it's and you're right, it's indoctrination, and you just explaining in detail some methods, but social engineering, and then so absolutely. Let's look at discussion for number. Wait, you have something else to add?
And whenever you see, there's the common you see common understanding, or the common, that's socialization. That's what that is. There's a common, you see common understanding, or you know what I mean. People say, oh, well, you know what I mean. Children tell the truth. That's the thing about it. Because if you go to a small child, it's, I'm hesitant about using that example, because in law, that has nothing to do. There's no technical significant phrase that there's no technical signification to the phrase colored people that the courts are judicially bound to know. So the fact that the fact that our people are say that, oh, well, I'm black because look at my skin color. It doesn't have anything to do with that in law.
Right.
So I wanted to hit that point also.
We're going to come back to that as we continue forward.
Okay.
As we move forward. So discussion point for question 1 is our people's claim of black as their identity based in complexion, skin tone, pigmentation, rooted in ancient, historical, and well-settled principles of the law of descent and the law of succession, and apply universally and worldwide. All right, so this discussion, this discussion point for question number 1 is key here, because one making a claim, or people making a claim they're black based on their complexion. Is there a reference that's ancient, historical, and well settled, and it's that's based in the principles of law of descent and law of succession, and apply universally? Is that all right? So are Chinese saying that they're Chinese because of their complexion? Are French people saying that they're French because of their complexion? Are Germans make the claim that they're Germans because of their complexion? Are Aragonese, Castilians, Portuguese, Italians, Sicilians make the claim of that their national origin, their nationality, because of their complexion? Is there any historical records, 500 years, 1,000 years, 4,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 years? Is there any historical records where a body of people or nation of people make the claim that they are said that of their national origin is based in the complexion, skin tone? So that's where I'll say ancient. All right, universal. I explained universal and worldwide. China, Japan, France, England. Then we have we go further back. So once again, is it rooted in ancient, historical, and wealth principles of the law of descent and the law of succession, apply universally and worldwide? Absolutely not. All right. Discussion point number 3 for question number 1. What are the valid sources to support the claim that Black is a national identity of a people? What are the valid sources? Well, another question, what are the invalid sources to support the claim that Black is a national identity of a people? What valid sources to support the claim that Black is not a national identity of the people? What are the invalid sources to support the claim that Black is not a national identity of any people? So let's look at the first one. What are the valid sources to support the claim that Black is a nationality identity of a people? What are the valid sources? So there's no treaties that support the claim, because there is no nation that was ever called Black that ever existed that negotiated a treaty with any other nation. So the Black nation that would never existed that negotiated. So all right, so treaties would be a valid source. Historical diplomatic correspondences, letters between heads of states, or correspondence written by consuls or vice consuls or consul generals or ambassadors. All right, correspondence with other nations. All right, ministers plenipotentiary of any heads of proclamations of heads of state. All right, what say you, Shane? Let's look at the second one. What are invalid sources to support the claim that Black is a national identity of people? What are invalid sources?
Newspaper articles, for one.
Yes, newspaper articles, because you get newspaper articles.
Or even books, even though they might give reference, we can't have it both ways. So one of the things is that we can use I won't even say from a historical reference, then that's where our etymology comes in. Those were our tools of construction come in, epistemology, the science of how one knows what it is, what they know, and the etymology. And we can look at it says, what are the invalid sources to support the claim?
So let's look at books written by an author like myself and yourself. Books that wouldn't be a valid source. Books would not be a valid source written by an author of a nation people ever existing. Books are not a valid source of a nation of people ever written. Books are not official. Why not, Abdullah? Books are not official records of a government. Books written by citizens of a government, are not official records of a government. I just want to. They're not official records of a government. They're not amity records. It's not proclamations by head of state. They're not treaties.
Or commercial exchanges.
Yeah, they're not official records of government, commercial exchange and treaties and acts, conventions, covenants. They're not official records. They're just book written by a citizen of a government, but they're not official records. So we're going to make they've got very clear official government records that a nation existed called Black. A nation existed 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, 500 years ago, called Black. That nation existed. Where are the official treaties? Letters written by ambassadors, head of states, the queens, beys, days, emirs, mirids, caliphs. So we have next one. What are the valid sources to support the claim that Black is not a national identity of any people? Sheehan.
Well, we can look at those. We can look at those particular records, those diplomatic correspondence, the letters from ambassadors, emirs, days, bays. We can look at the various. We can look at the various treaties, and we can look what vexology, the study of flags. We can look at that. Is there any people connected in in relationship uh, to vexology or the study of flags? Is there a black nation connected a to a banner or any type of commerce, or we can look to the official documentations and correspondence between different nations and different nation states and establish the fact that there are no such people that ever existed ever on the planet of Negro black color. We
Right.
can look at the
So
language,
let's
and if not, again, with that would be a book. What is the language label? When did black come into existence? We can look at that also. That would be more secondary, or
yeah, that would
that'd
be
be secondary.
that would be
That
secondary.
would be secondary. But anything
That would be
attached
secondary.
to
We talk about
political government structure would
right.
be a valid source to support the claim that black is not a national identity of any people.
Right. So, discussion point four. Discussion point four for question number one. Why is discrimination diversionary argument? Why discrimination and diversionary argument? What say ye?
There's no such people. That there's nothing that we can look to officially, historically, or anciently that points to any black people being existed. Therefore, it's a fiction. It's a fiction in law.
All right. So let's look at that a fictional law, a fictional law as a category, it's void of rights, void of treaty protection, void of international recognition. So a fictional law can't be discriminated against. A black is not a people. A people can be injured, but a fiction in law cannot be injured. A fiction in law cannot be discriminated against. A fiction law cannot be abused. It's a fiction in law. It's devoid of. So black is not a people. It's a fiction in law category that can apply to Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton can be placed in the fictional law category black. Donald Trump, Al Gore, Joe Biden. I mean, I'm saying that to make it very clear, it has nothing to do with complexion. Its use in law has nothing to do with complexion. Black equals devoid of rights, devoid of treaty protection, devoid of international recognition, has nothing to do with what something looks like, has nothing to do with shade, complexion, skin tone.
I want the people to. Let me give a real quick, Abdullah. Let me give a reference to that. Look up Sally Miller. She was a German woman, classified as she was a German woman in Louisiana, classified as Negro, a German woman. So up under then now there were quote unquote rumors of her being mixed and what have you. However, then there are again unofficial records. The attorney that was prosecuting the case wanted to try to save face by alleging that she was quote unquote mixed, but then they will use the colorable terms, or oh, she was white, and then you'll see our people referring to albion's and they'll point to a white napkin as if that's what it is. And so by looking at that case, then you're able to see you're able to see that it doesn't have anything in law to
Yeah,
do
they're using,
with
yeah, they're using
complexion.
construction there too.
The
They're also
abuses.
using in that case. They're using constructive language in even that case, and also social engineering is part of that case too. Because
Right.
when you say she's mixed, when you say she's mixed, then they say that she's mixed, then they're putting her as Negro.
Right.
All right, so it's still fiction. Even in the case, that you still use fiction and law. They're still using, because they're saying Negro and saying mixed. So it's still fiction. Even the case is even fiction. The language is all fiction, even in the case. It's
Right.
it's all part of social engineering. I wouldn't just really realize that particular example.
And then we can look at. I wanted to more so. I wanted to more so. It stood out to me to examine the fact that they weren't able to. In the long run, that wasn't able to. They weren't able to get that off, and because of the fact that, hey, we can point to her. We can point to a nationality, German. You can't get that off on someone who is aware of. There's a collective body of people and different correspondences that you can look to as far as Germans are concerned. So when it came to her particular position, then you have to recognize that the language that was being the colored language that was being used, that was divert, or whether she was or whether she wasn't mixed, or with quote unquote mixed with anything. The fact of the matter is that up under that banner of German nationality, then you have to deal with people differently. Then you have to deal with people differently than people who are subject to the different colorable language and terms that they are using.
That's, once again, we have to look at language that's used. What you're doing is taking your knowledge that you have and you're projecting into the case. We're looking at the colorable language, that how it's presented in the case, the social engineering and constructive colorable language that's in the case. They weren't talking like you in the case, because they said mix, and Negro, you can't be mixed with Negro. So the fact that mix is already, and they say Negro, is already colorable, because no one in the world can be mixed with Negro. No Chinese. It can't be, I'm half Negro, half Chinese. I'm half Negro, half German. I'm half Negro, half French.
I see where you are.
No in the world can be half Negro, half German, because Negro's not a pedigree. So what I'm saying is that it's colorable language in the case. Because when they say mixed, all right, if they said mixed, half more, half German, half more, half Chinese, half more, half French, half more, half German, Japanese, then mix will be appropriate. Mix is not appropriate because Negro's not a pedigree. That's what I'm saying. The court case, in which the court case is colorable.
Yes.
Because they said mix and they just said Negro. So I want to be, so we're gonna make it very clear to the listeners. You say, well, I'm half black, half white. You ain't half black and you ain't half white. Because white's not a pedigree and black's not a pedigree. So nobody in the planet is half black, half white. No one that ever walked this planet, no one that ever walked this planet, lived on this planet, was ever half black, half white. Because black's not a pedigree or consanguinity, and white's not a pedigree or consanguinity. All right, so we'll continue on. Discussion for points. All right, so we have here black people are being discriminated against. Black people should be treated fairly in discrimination against black people. So we pretty much addressed these points here, and that black's a fiction in law. In fact, Barack Obama, when he was on the Tom Joyner show, when he was elected to his first term, and Tom Joyner had him on the show, and Tom Joyner introduced to Barack Obama as the first black president of the United States. They took this, they edited this part out. They got the interview up there, but the introduction is out. They'll go right to the interview. You don't introduction out. So you know.
Is that what happened? I've been trying to find that.
Introduction's out. Yes, it's on there, and it's available, but the introduction is out. You will not hear an introduction. You will not hear. You will not, if you go on it right now, you will not hear Tom Joyner introduce Barack Obama. They go right to the interview. They cut that out. Because Tom Joyner, like anyone else, any host will introduce the guest. That's standard. Any guest is going to be introduced. And Tom Joyner introduced Barack Obama as the first black president of the United States. Barack Obama's response: I am not black. Black's a fiction in law. He's well aware.
I wish I'd have known that, brother. I've been trying to find that thing for
You're not going to get it's introduction. You find it, but the introduction out. They edited it out. All right, so we'll move on. Discussion point 5 for question number 1. Are people judged by the color of their skin? All right, are people judged by the color of the skin? What say ye?
Of course not, because color in law is the guise and semblance of a legal right, and there's no nation on the world that recognizes people of color, or people aren't categorized. Natural persons aren't classified by the color of their skin. They're classified by their consanguinity, or I won't even say political. You could use political allegiance, but political allegiance and your national origin are two different animals. And so that is, as we continue to go forward and learn and clear up misconceptions, that is one thing that we need to have in our mental, is that your political allegiance and your nationality, which is tied to your consanguinity, your heritage, your ancestry, your descent, your lineage, that's in your blood, and there's nothing that can't be changed.
Let me ask you this: are they judged by the complexion?
No, they're not.
So let's start like, so once you break down, this is for somebody off the street, because they'll try to get you with this now. So now once you break down, well, color don't have nothing to do with complexion. Again, they don't ask you, are we judged by complexion? Are we judged how we look? All right, so what say ye?
Well, we're judged by our legal status or lack thereof. We're judged by our lack of treaty protections and international law. We're judged by our lack of protection.
Yeah, but see, the white people, but they don't treat the white people like they treat black people. See, but why are the white people getting all of the good treatment and stuff? And, cops don't beat down white people like they beat down black people. Cops, they see what's called, driving white black. So they look at you and they stop you. The cops will look at you and they'll stop you. All right. What do you mean, Sheehan, that we ain't being judged by what we look like? Man, these cops beat us down. All right. Boom. They don't beat black man down like that. So yeah. So what do you mean that we ain't being judged and mistreated and abused because of what we look like?
Oh, white isn't that white in the caste system? White is a title.
Yeah, but the cops look at you and they'll beat you down because of what you look like. The cops don't beat down white people because of what they look like. They stop you because driving white black. They'll stop you and mistreat you because of what you look like. All right, what say ye?
That's not that wouldn't be accurate. So you're saying that if someone said, "Oh, well, they're not beating down," it's because they're a Davina, or that's that's colonization. That's colonization. That is the continuation of the French and the Spanish and Great Britain / England. That's a continuation of the Crusades against the Moors. So that wouldn't it's not racism, or it's not the fact that they are, or their skin. It doesn't have anything to do with their skin. It has to do with their status. That's why we're getting the treatment that we are. And then the historical. Go ahead.
Let me say this: cops don't know what you know. So let's cops don't know what you know.
But you said you said if somebody says our people are white people, quote unquote, white people don't get the treatment.
You mentioned cops though. Mention cops stop you, beat us down. Cops do not know what you know. Cops are engineered like our people are. They grow up, they're children. Cops are children. They're born children. They born, cops are groomed into the colorable thinking, like everybody else. They're groomed into the false race paradigm. You know what I mean? The black and white, black people, white people, they groomed to, so they stay with cops.
Right, what they look like.
Yeah, the cops are groomed because they're like, cops are regular people, went to school, grew up and everything. They're not special people. They went to school, grew up, like we did. They've been conditioned like we have. All right. And I mentioned cops because that's what our people see. Our people will see cops. So because that's what you're going to get. We're going to see cops first, and they're the one beating us down. All right. So the policy, so the conditioning. So now we have to speak to social engineering. We got to speak to the social engineering matter that the general public, that includes Moors and Europeans, have been social engineered into this complexion. They're black people because of, and we're white people because of. Millions of Europeans and millions of Moors have been groomed into that. They don't know the intercatera divina, the interworkings of Pope Alexander VI papal decree of 1493, of the true agenda. They don't know that that's been orchestrated there. Carl Linnaeus and Francois Bonner and Johann Friedrich Blumenbach of the construct of skin tone and hair texture and cranial size. So you're right. We're not judged by our complexion, but because of the social engineering. So we're not judged because of our complexion. We're talking, so the policy that the cops do not make. Cops don't write any policy. Cops do not lead the social engineering, programming that's been taught in the school and taught in the media. Cops have nothing to do with that. They're social engineered like everyone else. So we got to speak to the larger picture. So you say, I understand what you're saying. and that cops do mess us up because cops give favorable treatment to Europeans because of what they look like. That is true. Cops are not taught. They're social engineered by everybody else. And we have to speak to the larger issue, the colonial policy of mass denationalization, and the social engineering is taught to disguise colonialism, in that a people being subject to generations of mass denationalization. So the cops are being programmed, as well as the general public, into judging people by complexion, because that's part of the birthright theft. That's the social engineering is part of the birthright theft. So we got to go to the bigger. We got to go to the what's it called, the puppet master. The cops aren't the puppet masters. So we got to go to the puppet masters, the designers of social engineering, Carl Linnaeus and Francois Bernier and Johann Firma Baumbach, the puppet masters. And that's this whole thing is playing out. So it's like it's a stage, it's a play. So the black and white then beating up, Terrence because of what he looks like. Well, cops do that, but that's not
what it is.
That's not what it is. They're part of that. That's part of the social engineering. They grew up that way. That's a symptom. Cops grew up like everyone else into the play. They're part of the play. You're right. And they see the Europeans, all right, see that they keep us down so that we don't compete with their children. So it's part of the social engineering. You know, right?
So agenda. And that's what I try to do is give people reference to, because from what I've learned, that engaging someone asks a colorable question and then you answer it, then you're in error also. And so one of the things that I try to do is just give tangible references to different documentation that people can see, so they can see the policy and they can see the planning of how it's been taking place. I'm not saying that there's
that later. We're gonna get with that later down the line.
Okay.
This presentation. All right, continue. A political negative status of Black people. Black is a legal fiction in law. We have addressed that. How does Black as a fiction in law factor into policy and planning?
Abdullah, let me read can I read the definition or one of the definitions given for legal fiction?
Yes.
Legal fiction, an assertion accepted as true, though probably fictitious, to achieve a particular goal in a legal matter. And the example that it gives is, one must remember that land ownership is ultimately a legal fiction. So that's just you typing in, letting your fingers do the work, and just you can type it in, a legal fiction in law. So I wanted to give that foundation so that people can begin to start to see what these different terminology mean and how they're using this as warfare against us. As a child, you're taught sticks and stones break your bones, but words will never hurt you. But as an adult, you learn that the pen is mightier than the sword.
Absolutely. So let's go in here. So we'll get right into the origin of this race paradigm. We can read here, Sharon, Sheehan. You want to read?
Yes. Francois Bernier, Carl Linnaeus, and Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, the fathers of the race, the modern race paradigm. Francois Bernier, Carl Linnaeus, and Johann Friedrich Blumenbach are the fathers of the race paradigm, which classifies the human family with recognized nationalities based on pigmentation, skin tone, complexion. White and black have been used in the United States Census from 1790 to 2010. And the race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrative reporting directive number 15.
There you go. Bang, bang, bang. Policy.
There it is, policy.
There you go.
So for people to, because there's always a, in the conversation, there's always a, I'd say there's an overall theme of people just thinking things happen. And so for us to, for our people to be able to help themselves and start to change their mode of thinking and the way that they speak, we have to begin to see the policy and planning, and that it didn't just happen. It's not a historical flaw. It wasn't a bunch of random events that just happened and we just happened to end up in this situation. Oh, we got bad luck. No, this was policy and planning. And federal statistics and administrative reporting directive number 15 is a solid reference for someone who's in the mindset of U.S. citizen. Then okay, then let's point to what it is. I want to give you, let's give you their literature, and you can read in their own, you can read in their directive number 15, that white and black have been used in the census since 1790 to 2010. Oh, you can, that's an excellent reference to be able to use, so that you can see that it's not based on anything scientific or anthropological. So if you're not dealing with science and you're not dealing with anthropology, you're not dealing with human beings.
Right. Continue reading.
The United States Secretary of Commerce has been delegated authority to oversee activities in the Commerce Department. The Census Bureau is part of the Commerce Department. The Office of Management and Budget, OMB, is part of the Census Bureau. The Office of Management and Budget implements the race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrating reporting.
Continue reading.
Critical thinking questions. Does nationality mean skin color or national origin?
Continue reading.
Nationality identifies a person's geography, national land, national country, national sovereignty, national constitution, national government seal, national government flag, and a national government representative.
Continue reading. Just continue reading.
Does race mean skin color or nationality? The race terminology used in the United States Census does not identify a person's ethnogeography, national land, national country, national sovereignty, national constitution, national government seal, national government flag, and national governmental representatives. Does black mean race, color, or national origin? Does white mean race, color, or national origin? Does the term white people refer to a people's skin color, nationality, or national origin? Does the term black people refer to people's skin color, nationality, or national origin? Is a person's skin color / skin tone / complexion the basis for a people's national identity, national origin, or nationality?
Continue reading.
citizenship and race. Racial provisions in the United States immigration and nationality law. The United States policy on racial requirements for United States citizenship has disguised the issues of Moorish nationality, Moorish sovereignty, and Moorish birthrights and inheritance, as well as the great humanitarian political restoration and nationalization work of Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish National and Divine Movement. White Americans, Black Americans. Is a person's skin color, skin tone, complexion, pigmentation the basis for United States citizenship? Why does the United States government use the terms white and black in the United States Census and the race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrative reporting to classify people in the country by skin color, skin tone, complexion, and pigmentation? Are the skin color terms white and black eligibility for United States citizenship? Is there a racial eligibility to United States citizenship? How does nationality factor into the United States citizenship? In 1970, the United States Census had 9 racial categories: white, Negro or Black, Indian, American, Japanese, Chinese, Filipino, Hawaiian, Korean, other race.
All right, let's stop there. Now, notice this is 1970 census, United States Census, that Japanese, Chinese, Filipino, Hawaiian, Korean are in the racial categories with white, Negro, or Black. White, Japanese, Chinese, Hawaiian, Korean, Filipino are classified as in the same racial category as white, Negro, and Black. Something to observe. Continue. 1980, 1990.
By 1990, the race categories had expanded to 15 categories: white, Black, Indian, Eskimo, Aleut, Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Korean, Vietnamese, Asian Indian, Samoan, Guamian, other Asian or Pacific Islander, or other race.
Notice again that white and Black or Eskimo, Aleut, Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Korean, Vietnamese, Samoan, Guamanian are in the same category as Black and white. The same category, racial categories. I thought Chinese was a nationality. Japanese is not a nationality. Korean is not a nationality. Korean is a race. Korean is the same as Korean falls in the same category as Black and white. I mean, there is, last time I looked, Terrence, there is a nation called China. But there's no nation called Black or white. Like, how can,
or even Filipino.
or Filipino? How can Black and white be placed in the same categories as Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, Vietnamese, Samoan? I'm confused. I'm lost here. Now, because of social engineering, our people we can read this 1,000 times. 1,000 times, and they will never be able to analyze it the way I'm doing it now. 1,000, 1,000,000 times. They're gonna read 1,000,000 times because of social engineering that they wouldn't be able to. Yeah, how is that white and black is in the same category as Chinese and Japanese, and they're not. It's social engineering, so they're not. I mean, I'm talking people with PhD. Let's look at it. Our people who have PhDs, college degrees. Let me go. Our people who have college degrees, that's BAs and BSs, all right, that have master degrees and PhDs would read this 1,000 times but not be able to analyze it all day. Which means what? College degrees, master degrees, and PhDs.
Social engineering.
Let's continue.
Question 9 of the 2010 United States Census. What is person number 1's race? Mark X, 1 or more boxes. Mark 1 or more boxes. White, black, African American or Negro, American Indian or Alaska Native. Print name of enrolled or principal tribe. Asian Indian, Chinese, Filipino, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, Native Hawaiian, Guamanian, or Chamorro, Samoan. Other Asian. Print race, for example, Hmong, Laotian, Thai, Pakistani, Cambodian, and so.
And they're not even races, they're nationalities. See, print race. For example, print race, for example. This is constructive. All right, continue.
Other Pacific Islander, print race, for example, Fijian, Tongan, and so on. Is Chinese a skin color, skin tone, complexion, or nationality identifying the national origin and consanguinity of the Chinese people? Japanese, the nationality of the Japanese people and not their skin color. Filipino, the nationality of the Korean people and not their complexion.
No. Filipino. Say it again.
Filipino. Okay, I'm sorry. Filipino, the nationality of the Filipino people and not their skin tone. Korean, the nationality of the Korean people and not their complexion. Vietnamese, the nationality of the Vietnamese people and not their skin color. Hawaiian, the nationality of the Hawaiian people and not their complexion.
All right, let me just let me stop there. Terrence brought something to my attention. All right, so let me address Filipino. The president, the past president of quote unquote Filipino. He's not the current president. He's the past president, I think 2 years ago. Duinte. He had 4 women behind him. And he spoke that Filipino is named after the Christian conqueror, King Philip. Filipino is the name of King Philip of Spain. That's the name. That's the Filipino is the name of King Philip of Spain. They're named after their conqueror, Spain, Filipino. So Filipino is not their nationality. It's not a nationality. Filipino is not a nationality of anybody on this planet. It's not a bloodline, ancestry, lineage, descent, consanguinity, ancestry, pedigree. of any people that ever walked this planet. It's a name of a king of Spain. All right.
Well, no, hold on, Abdullah. It's on the map. It's on the map, Abdullah.
Yes. Based on conquest. That's a Spanish zone. So Filipino, named after King Philip, either first or second, is to this very day a Spanish zone. The president, the past president of quote unquote Filipino, stated that the people are mortals. So he was dealing with nationalization. He was addressing the mass denationalization. He was addressing the mass denationalization of the people, Filipino. And then what? Addressing the issue of nationalization, moral. We got to do the same thing. He's addressing the mass denationalization, Filipino, and explaining how they got the name. And then said that the people are mortals. That's what? That's nationalization. So he's addressing mass denationalization and nationalization. Mass denationalization of people and nationalization of a people, mortals. That's a power move. That's a power move. The past president, remember, he's not an ordinary citizen. Preceding president said that. A seating president said that.
There's several thousand people out there, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. So we'll continue. Constructive fraud. All right. Thank you, T.
Absolutely.
You want to read that, Abdullah?
Yes.
Constructive fraud, mixing nationality and race. Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Korean, Vietnamese, Hawaiian, Guamanian, Samoan, Eskimo, and Aleut do not refer to skin color, but identifies the respective people's national origin, descent, ancestry, consanguinity, genealogy, pedigree, parentage, and lineage. Race is used in the United States to classify members of the human family with nationalities by physical appearance, skin color / skin tone, complexion. The race terminologies of white, black, brown, red, and yellow do not identify the national lands, national sovereignties, national constitutions, national government seals, national government flags, and national government representatives of any members of the human family. The definition of white in the United States Census and the race and ethnic standards for the federal statistics and administrative reporting, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, North Africa, or the Middle East.
Continue.
The embargo was lifted after 5 months. OPEC is an intergovernmental organization that was created at the Baghdad conference on the 10th of September, on September 19th, 1960. The 10th, I'm guessing that's the 10th through the 14th of September 1960 by Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela. Later, it was joined by 9 more governments: Libya, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Indonesia, Algeria, Nigeria, Ecuador, Angola, and Gabon. The headquarters was in Geneva, Switzerland. It moved to Vienna, Austria on September 1st, 1965. Oil embargo. On October 17th, 1973, in response to the Fourth Arab-Israeli War, the Arab governments ordered oil production cutbacks and placed an embargo on oil shipments to the United States and Netherlands. United States imported 7 billion gallons of oil per day from the Middle East in the 1970s and currently imports 14.5 billion per day. The Middle East and North Africa in a changing oil market by Bright E. Okogu. OPEC, Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, at the center of the transformation of the market since they own the bulk of world proven crude oil reserves. MENA, Middle Eastern and North African member countries of OPEC. Events of 1973 through 1974, the determination of the crude oil price passed largely into the hands of OPEC, Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, or the OAPEC, consisting of the Arab members of OPEC plus Egypt, Syria, Tunisia, proclaimed an oil embargo. United States political favors and concessions to Middle Eastern and North African countries. Those from the Middle Eastern and North African countries are included in the white category.
All right, so stop there. So you see the political move of why those in the Middle East and North Africa are included in the white category definition. Why they're included in the definition of white people. That gives their background of why there is included in North Africa and Middle East because of oil. So they were given concessions. So they were given that, with that white title, white category because of oil. So showing that nothing just happens.
Right.
Policy and planning. Policy and planning. We're talking about policy and planning. So I want people to see this thing play out. Policy and planning. That's why.
What about there's something that people can look to also. Mustafa Hafni, the brother from Egypt.
Yeah.
He came over here and he wanted to be quote unquote classified with his people. He wanted to be classified as black.
There you go. Yeah,
with his people. And he wanted to share in their plight, and he didn't feel that it was right that he was classified as white.
Right.
Nothing to do with skin tone.
Policy and planning.
Policy and planning.
Policy and planning. Egypt is part of that OPEC. North Africa and Middle East. Policy and planning. All right, let's continue. All right, so we got 40 minutes. Is that right? Yeah. All right, we got 40 minutes. All right, continue.
Questions to stimulate critical thinking. What is the meaning of race in the 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000, and 2010 United States censuses? What is the meaning of race in the United States race and ethnic standards for statistics and administrative reporting, Directive Policy number 15, implemented by the Office of Management and Budget in 1977? 3, is race determined by visually observing one's skin tone, skin color, complexion, pigmentation? 4, is race determined by one's ancestry, national origin, or descent? 5. What is the relationship between citizenship and race? 6. Is Black a nationality, skin color, or legal status?
7.
Scroll down. 7. Is white a nationality, skin color, or legal status? 8. Why does the word nationality not appear on the 1970, 1980, 2000, and 2010's United States censuses? Number 9. Why are nationalities such as Chinese, Filipino listed under the race question in the 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000, and 2010 United States censuses? Number 10. Are nationality and race synonymous and interchangeable? 11. Are nationality and color synonymous and interchangeable? 12. Why is the word nationality placed on forms used in the United States Immigration and Citizenship Office, but why is race instead of nationality used on the United States Census? Why are the words nationality and citizenship separated by / nationality citizenship on forms used in the United States Immigration and Citizenship Office? Are nationality and citizenship synonymous?
Number 14.
Number 14.
Mhm.
Where am I? 15?
Number 14.
Number 14. Number 14. Are nationality and citizenship synonymous? 15. Are nationality and race synonymous and interchangeable? Number 16. Does race relate to citizenship? 17. Does race mean skin color, skin tone, complexion, pigmentation? 18. Does race refer to the geography of a nation of people? Does race refer to a nation of people's national origin,
19.
ancestry?
19.
I bet-
You gotta say the
19.
number.
19. My apologies. Does race refer to a nation of people's let me start again. 19. Does race refer to a nation of people's national origin, ancestry, consanguinity, or descent? 20. Do the terms white and black denote the nationalities, national identities of two nations of people, such as Chinese, Nigerian, Dominican, English, French, etc.? Number 21. Do the terms white and black refer to United States citizenship?
All right. Next. Continue.
Neither white nor black. The politics of race and ethnicity among Puerto Ricans on the island and in the U.S. mainland by George Duani, Department of Sociology and Anthropology, University of Puerto Rico. Scroll down. Revised version of a paper presented at the conference on the meaning of race and blackness in the Americas. Contemporary Perspectives. Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island, February 10th through the 12th, year 2000. Quote, in 1990, I directed an ethnographic study of the socio-cultural causes of the census undercount in Barrio Gandul, a lower class urban community in Santurce,
Yes,
Puerto Rico.
Santurce,
Puerto Rico. Duani et al. 1995. At the beginning of our fieldwork, my colleagues and I sought to elicit our informants' constructions of their own racial identity by asking them what race they considered themselves to belong to. Responses to this seemingly innocuous question range from embarrassment and amazement to ambivalence and silence. Many informants simply shrugged their shoulders and pointed to their arms as if their skin color were so obvious that it did not need to be verbalized.
Social
Quote,
engineering.
many informants simply shrugged their shoulders and pointed to their arms as if their skin color were so obvious that it did not need to be verbalized. My field notes for that project are full of references to the intermediate physical types of many resident of Barrio Gandul, including Moreno, True Triguino.
All right, so let's stop there.
Okay.
You see Moreno and how they're using Moreno more as a complexion, when Moreno is the pedigree of the people. And they've been conditioned. I remember being in the classroom. I was teaching an ESL, not GED class, and I said Moreno, and Moors classified as Puerto Rican, Latino, Spanish, said to me that that's a bad word. Morenos is like saying nigger, Mr. Bay. Mr. Bay, Moreno is a bad word. It's like saying nigger. Now I never knew the connotative meaning that's used in Puerto Rico. I didn't know the connotative meaning until my students told me. So the connotative meaning given to our pedigree, ancestry, lineage, descent, national origin, Moreno, Moros, Moreno. And so it's referred to as a bad name.
Keep the people away from it.
See? And so I wanted to point that out and how it's being associated with complexion. Social engineering. Continue.
For statistical purposes, these terms are usually grouped under the generic label mulatto, but Puerto Ricans make finer social distinctions in their daily lives. For instance, our informants use the terms grifo, jabao, and colorado to refer to various combinations of hair types and skin tones. At least 19 different racial categories are currently used in Puerto Rico. Contrary to the collapsing of racially mixed persons in the United States into the non-white category, residents of Barrio Gandul recognized intermediate groups based on color and other physical characteristics. Many researchers have been concerned with how Puerto Ricans define race or color. The two terms have been used as synonyms in much of the literature. Color distinctions in Puerto Rico involve a complex inventory of physical traits such as skin pigmentation, hair texture, nose shape, and lip form. Genorio, 1971. C. Rodriguez, 1996. Cida Bonilla, 1968. Zenon Cruz, 1975. More than descent phenotype defines racial identity in Puerto Rico as much as in the Caribbean and Latin America. Socioeconomic variables such as occupation, prestige, and family connections can also affect a person's racial identity. Contrary to the United States, ancestry is not the most significant variable in assessing race in Puerto Rico. Rather, as the American sociologist Charles Rogler, 1972-1946, noted long ago, Puerto Ricans placed most emphasis on visual evidence of race as an individual's anatomic feature.
Social engineering, Carl Linnaeus, Francois Bernal, Johann Friedrich Mubat, extending to Puerto Rico and the Caribbean and throughout South America.
Race and ethnic standards of federal statistics and administrative reporting, Statistical Policy Directive number 15, adopted May 12th, 1977. The denationalization of the Moors and the Black classification used on the United States Census forms. What is the constitutionality of the 5 race categories used in the race and ethnic standards of the federal statistics and administrative reporting? Statistical Policy Directive number 15. When individuals in the United States complete forms for school enrollment or applications for jobs, mortgages, college scholarships, or other kinds of loans, they are asked to provide information, race, and ethnicity. The federal government uses the information collected on the race and ethnicity for a variety of purposes, including monitoring job discrimination and school segregation, and determining how to allocate large amounts of federal aid. Standards have been used in the 2 decennial censuses and in the surveys of the population. Data collections necessary for meeting statutory requirements associated with civil rights monitoring and enforcement and other administrative program reporting. Susan Evinger, Statistical Policy Office, Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, Office of Management Budget, NEOB, room 10201, 725 17th Street, Northwest Washington, D.C., 20503. I might as well go ahead and get the phone number. 202-395-3093. The minimum standard collection categories: civil rights compliance reporting, general program administrative and grant reporting, statistical reporting. In 1974, the Federal Interagency Committee on Education, FICE, created an ad hoc committee on racial and ethnic definitions, racial and ethnic data reporting in education, meeting the revised requirements of the United States. Don't forget about the General Board of Education, y'all.
Department of Education, United States Department of Education. Continue.
Department of Education. United States Department of Education, Guide to Implementing the New Federal Race and Ethnicity in Public Schools. Fact page. June 1994. Advance notice of the proposed review and possible reversion of Office of Management and Budget, OMB's Statistical Policy Directive number 15, Race and Ethnic Standards for the Federal Statistical and Administrative Reporting. August 1995. Standards for the classification of federal data on race and ethnicity. July 9th, 1997, recommendations from the Interagency Committee for the Review of Racial and Ethnic Standards. On October 30th, 1997, the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, issued standards for maintaining, collecting, and presenting federal data on race and ethnicity. All federal agencies, including the Census Bureau, who collect and report data on race, and ethnicity must follow these standards. OMB Bulletin number 00-02, Guidance on the Aggregation and Allocation of Data on Race for Use in Civil Rights Monitoring and Enforcing, March 9, 2000. January 1st, 2003, Reversions to the Standards for the Classification of Federal Data on Race and Ethnicity. The National Center for Education Statistics, NCES, and the Office for Civil Rights, OCR, and the Department of Education. School survey on racial and ethnic classifications conducted by NCES by Westat, Inc. The development of these data standards stemmed in large measure from the new responsibilities to enforce civil rights laws. Data were needed to monitor equal access in housing, education, employment, and other areas for populations that historically had experienced discrimination and different treatment because of their race and ethnicity. Race and National Origin Identification Standard Form 181, Revive 5-8282, e.g. U.S. Office of Personnel Management, FPM Supplement 298-1, Privacy Act Statement. You are requested to furnish this information under the authority of 42 U.S.C. Section 2000E-16, which requires that federal employment practices be free from discrimination and provide equal employment opportunities for all. Solicitation of this information is in accordance with the Department of Commerce Directive 15, Race and Ethnic Standards for the Federal Statistics and Administrative Reporting. This information will be used in planning and monitoring equal employment opportunity programs and to identify employees for inclusion in skill banks and referral pools. Your furnishing this information is voluntary. Your failure to do so will have no effect on you or your federal employment. If you fail to provide the information, however, then the employing agency will attempt to identify your race and national origin by visual perception.
All right, stop there. Go back up. Go back up. Go back up. All right, read it again. Your furnishing can read that again. We're gonna read it.
Your furnishing this information is voluntary. Your failure to do so will have no effect on you or on your federal employment. If you fail to provide the information, however, then the employing agency will attempt to identify your race and national origin by visual perception.
Read it again.
Your furnishing this information is voluntary. Your failure to do so will have no effect on you or on your federal employment. If you fail to provide the information, however, then your employing agency will attempt to identify your race and national origin by visual perception.
Why? Because it's finance. It builds the finance. So if you don't, even though it says voluntary, it's voluntary, right? You have to do it. But it says what? The attempt to identify your race and national origin by visual, because it's finance. The Office of Management and Budget. The office.
It's not voluntary then. If they're going to do it, if you opt not to do it and they're going to do it anyway.
It's finance. It's fine. It's big time finance. So if they don't have a classification, because it's big, maybe that's why this is why we read all this. This is the policy and planning. The policy and planning.
Right.
The Office of Management Budget puts together the budget for the president. Programs are given funding based on how many blacks and whites and white. if they send in a form, send in T's form, they will never send in T's form without, if T doesn't put anything down, they're going to put black down. T can leave it blank all he wants. Once it gets to the Department of Human Services, Tamara Ill worked in Human Services for 10 years. I got to continue. Tamara Ill worked in Human Services for 10 years. When I brought this up and showed this, she said, yes, they will put it down. So if Terrence cements in, they say, leave it blank, Terrence. Leave it blank, Terrence. Leave it blank all you want, Terrence. They checking black off. This is finance. They're checking black off. You can leave blank all you want. They're not going to submit. They cannot submit Terrence's form. Without that class, there's no finance. Submit what? They're not going to submit that. There's no finance. They're not submitting no without that classification. Are you kidding me? They're not going to get finance. This is mass denationalization. It's in the policy of planning. We're human resources. But I wanted to be detailed. This is detailed with this. And this goes on every day. I remember one of my coworkers, former coworkers, during lunchtime, it was about 10 teachers during lunchtime. And I had the floor, and I was talking, explaining the principle of nationality. That nationality is based in pedigree, ancestry, lineage, and not in shade and color and complexion. One of the teachers blurted out that that's not the real world. So I turned my body to face her. Remember, I wasn't talking just only to her. I was holding court with 10 teachers. And turned my body to face her and said, nationality is the real world. China, Chinese, France, French. Now, it wasn't until December of last year. I have an unpublished book called Teaching Nationality to Over 5,000 Students in the Kansas City Public School. It's unpublished. I took 20 pages out of that book. The last chapter of Moors and Masonry Part 2 is Teaching Nationality to Over 5,000 students, 5,000 students in Kansas Public School. That's the title of last chapter, I think it's 12, chapter 12 of Moors and Masonry Part 2, which is a title of an unpublished book. The first, you'll see that last chapter, her quote. So even though it's students, but I had that quote from a teacher. That quote is from a teacher. It's on 18 points. Nationality is not the real world. When I got back on Moors and Masonry Part 2 in December of last year, and I decided to take the 20 pages, and so I'm putting that in, and then all those years had passed. It dawned on me. Because remember, I only focused on what she said, not why she said it. It wasn't until December of last year when I got back on Moors and Masonry Part 2. I said, oh, Now I know why she said that. Now so do y'all. So did all of y'all know why she said that. As a teacher, she has to list, which I had to do. How many blacks? How many whites? Hispanics? You got to, you cannot leave. You talking about finance. They will fire your ass. You start messing with finance, you're fired. Go mess with finance all you want.
Quick.
We talking about big time finance. You just read it. We went through this. That's just why we read all this. Policy and planning. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. So T can leave a link all he wants. T enrolls his child into a recreational program. He can leave a blank all he wants. They checking black off. They're checking black off. He can put more down all he wants. They're checking black off. All right. They either check black off or do this. Take your child out of here. They check black off. They do this. Your child leaves. They check black off. Your child leaves. No, you just read it. Mass denationalization, y'all.
Financial gain. Financial gain.
Right. So we'll continue. I just wanted to. Yes.
We got about 12 minutes.
We got 12 minutes. So we go down. So let's go down. Let's go scroll all the way down. Let's scroll all the way down.
Ask, if anybody had questions or anything.
Does anyone have any questions? Any questions, comments, criticism? We don't know what we're talking about. Then they have to prove, because saying we don't know what we're talking about means nothing. It's not evidence. They have to prove through documentary evidence. Because once I say, when you say I don't know what we're talking about, that means that's your claim. Then you have to support your claim with documentary evidence, because I'll challenge that. I'll challenge people challenging me, which means that they would have to present documentary evidence, because I can present documentary evidence. So I mean,
So are we going to remedy for mass denationalization?
Yes.
Postliminium? Okay.
Yes. Remedy. Go to the remedy section. So we're looking for text questions and comments right now. You see anything,
Okay.
T? Let's give T a minute here.
No, it's a little further away from me. So let's see here.
All right, y'all. So that you in your section, T? Sheehan, the remedy
Yes,
section?
I am.
Are you on it? So you ready to go with it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So can read?
Okay. Remedy for mass denationalization, postliminium, and reversion to sovereignty. Morris Treaty protection and consular relations. Morris Treaty enforcement, Morris consular jurisdiction, consular notification, quo warranto, letter rogatory, central authority through diplomatic channels. Vienna Convention of Consular Relations, Vienna Convention of Diplomatic Relations. Remedy. Who are the original people of the land? Archaeological evidence and historical fact of the ancient habitation of the original people on the land, ancient civilization and ancient culture, invocation of an ancient original or historic title, principle of immemorial possession, an autochthonous and consanguineous blood right claim to the land, challenging the acquisition of territory claim as applied in international law today. Doctrine of discovery. territorial sovereignty,
Mhm.
forms of government authority over territory, the modes of acquisition, original and historic title. Excerpt from Brownlee's Principles of International Law. It may happen that a current dispute involves not only reliance on the exercise of state authority, but the invocation of an ancient, original, or historic title. The concept informs the principle of immemorial possession and reliance on evidence of general repute or opinion as to matters of historical fact. Particularly in Asia, traditional boundaries play a significant role. International tribunals have recognized the concept of ancient or original title, but require appropriate evidence in support. Such evidence will constitute the assertion by a state of a right that it does not hold by any other title, acquiescence by other states, and the passage of sufficient time to establish beyond doubt the existence of both the right and general acquiescence. In disputes over historic title to maritime territory, however, the tribunal in South China Sea arbitration asserted that the entry into force of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea had the effect of extinguishing, at least between member states, any historic rights that a state may once have had in the areas that now form part of the exclusive economic zone and continental shelf of another state. Invocation of ancient, original, or historic title, principle of immemorial possession. The continued implementation of Inter Terra Divina of March 4th, 1493, doctrine of discovery, disguised as acquisition of nationality in international law. Analyzing the deception of the phrase acquisition of nationality as used in modern international law. Peace of Westphalia, 1648.
Right.
Suppressing the nationality, the mother and blood right tie, birthright, inherited rights, land connected. Restoring the matriarchal principles of the ancient world civilization. Analyzed in a modern deceptive birthright and estate stealing European conquest, colonialism, and mass denationalization of the native people of the land construct. Analyzing the context of ancient and divine principle, connection of nationality to biology, genetics, consanguinity, genealogy, ancestry, descent, national origin, pedigree, parentage, and lineage. Excerpt of Moors and Masonry, Part 2, The Power of Moorish Treaties, and the Recovery of Lost Moorish Sovereignty. The term acquisition of nationality, in quote, is constructed in international law is misleading. Nationality placed in the construction of acquisition suppresses the biological, genetic, and consanguineous blood principle of nationality. Nationality is inherited through the biological birth process of the mother. The use of the word acquisition places nationality into a political construct and suppresses its ancient nature of jurisprudence, connection to the law of blood, just sanguis, the law of descent, and the law of succession. The principle of nationality is inherited and not acquired through political process. The word acquire places the innate biological, genetic, and consanguineous process of nationality into a deceptive birthright and inheritance stealing political construct. European conquest and colonialism of Moorish lands and estates, as well as the subjugation and the generational systematic mass denationalization of the native Moors, are the political motives of placing nationality, which is tied to consanguinity, ancestral, genealogy, parentage, pedigree, descent, national origin, and lineage into the political construct of acquisition as applied to international law today. Let's restore the innate quality of nationality inherited through the biological, genetic, and consanguineous process of the birth of the child through the womb of the woman, woman/mother, to the minds of the native Moors.
All right, y'all. All right. This has been, I thank y'all for riding with us today. I trust that this, really is thought-provoking and something that you can use in your lessons and teaching your children and co-workers and kin and friends and people in your neighborhood. All right. So I definitely want to tip my fez to Sheehan and I wet my turban. Wonderful job, brother. Thank you for riding with me.
Thank you, brother.
All right. So so we're going to give our we're going to start as we're going to end as we began. All right. Moroccan Post Law History Government class. We have the Moroccan Post Law History and Government class. The next class topic. This past Wednesday's topic was the secure party creditor class. Government is a secure party creditor that makes decisions for her beneficiaries, citizens. This is on the Moroccan Post YouTube page. All right, this is on the Moroccan Post YouTube page. We got the next class, which is on Wednesday, November 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via Zoom. Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations, Writ of Quaranto, Part 1. This is the next Moroccan Post Law, Government, and History class coming your way Wednesday. All right, so we have the YouTube channel. All right, Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Click, like, and subscribe. Also, Crumb TV. Go to Crumb TV, click, like, and subscribe. All right. Support here, Crumb TV, by donating. All right. So we have here once again the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. All right. The end game, restoring the Moorish body politic. December 14th, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yours truly, Abdullah Iltimosi Bey and Shimalikai Bey are the speakers. Vendors are welcome. For vending, contact Goddess Kia at 718-812-5312. This location, Dreams Event Hall, 966 Rutland Road, Brooklyn, New York, 11212. We have the donation at the door is $25 and $20 via webcast. Get tickets at eventbrite.com/D hyphen tickets. All right. We have, you said it's 8 o'clock?
Yes.
All right. Peace, everyone. These are my books, Moroccan Post, mooresandmasonry.org. Thank you again. mooresandmasonry.org. Go to get these books here. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Peace. I'm looking at this.